It's the year 1381. The cold has settled in for months. There's no firewood left. Your blanket is thin. Your boots, if you have any, are soaked through. And still, you have to survive the night. Tonight, you'll drift into a world where winter wasn't an inconvenience. It was the enemy. This is a day in the life of a medieval peasant in the heart of the coldest season. No comfort, no heat, no way out. But somehow they made it. And now so will you. Close your eyes. Let it all fade away. Let's begin. You wake before the sun, not because you want to, but because the cold has reached your bones again. There's no real warmth left under the blanket, only your own breath, trapped against the rough wool. You curl tighter, trying to keep whatever heat you have. The fire burned out long ago. You don't know when. No one stirred to check it. Everyone was too tired, too cold, too used to waking up this way. The walls around you creak when the wind hits them. You can feel the air slipping through every crack in the wood. Even under the blanket, you know it's colder inside than it should be. Your nose is cold. Your hands ache. Your feet are wet with sweat that never dried. You can hear someone breathing across the room. Shallow, slow. They're still asleep. You can see your breath hanging in the dark. Each exhale curls upward and disappears. You don't want to move. The thought of pushing off the blanket feels like punishment. But someone has to check the coals. Someone has to see if anything's left. You sit up slowly. The air hits your chest like ice. Your shirt is stiff with cold. You press your fingers into your ribs and cough. The cough is dry and quiet. You reach toward the hearth with bare hands. The stones are still warm, just barely. No glow, no light. Only a whisper of heat buried in ash. You grab a stick, poke gently. No flame, nothing left to save. Another morning with no fire. You lower your hand to the floor, searching for your boots. They're not where you left them. You feel around until you find one, damp inside. The other is frozen stiff. You'll wear them anyway. There's no choice. Outside, a rooster cries. Too early, too cold. Even the animals sound miserable. You pull on your boots, still half wrapped in your blanket. You can hear the others stirring now. They're awake too. No one speaks. There's nothing to say. It's just another winter morning, and it hasn't even begun. You keep the blanket draped over your shoulders as long as you can. It doesn't help much, but it's better than nothing. Your clothes from the day before are stiff with cold. You left them near the fire, hoping they'd dry. They didn't. You pull them on anyway. A tunic that smells of smoke. Woolen trousers patched too many times. A belt made from rope. You pull it tight. Tighter than yesterday. You don't know if it shrunk or if you did. There's no fresh shirt. No warm change waiting. What you wore yesterday is what you wear today. And maybe tomorrow. You grab extra layers if you have them. A second tunic, a hood, anything. The air inside the house is sharp enough to sting your ears. And that's before you've even opened the door. You find your woolen wrap folded near the wall. It's damp. Everything is damp. The roof let snow in last night. The corners of the room are white with frost. The walls are sweating from the inside. You wrap your scarf around your head, covering your nose. You know it'll slip off later, but for now it helps. It traps your breath. It buys you time. You look down at your hands. No gloves. You lost one last week in the woods. The other has holes. You keep your hands under your arms, moving only when you must. Your feet thud against the frozen floor. Even inside the house, your steps echo. You think about the shoes some people have. Thick leather, lined with fur. Not yours. Yours have twine where the seams split. The left one leaks. The right one rubs raw. A child nearby is still asleep under a coat. Someone else is wrapping their hands in rags. No one speaks. You all move like ghosts in a shared dream or a slow waking nightmare. You tuck the blanket into the corner and step toward the door. You're dressed, you're ready, and you're still cold. But that's normal. This is as warm as you'll be all day. The fire is gone. You already know it. But still, you try. You dig through the ashes with the tip of a stick. Nothing glows, nothing flickers. Only dust and the bitter smell of smoke that never warmed the room. You reach for the kindling pile. It's damp again. Everything near the wall has pulled in the night air. You blow on the wood, hoping the frost will lift. It doesn't. You take a handful anyway and lay it gently over what's left of last night's coals. Then you crouch and breathe. Once, twice, harder. Your breath fogs and curls and fades. No glow. The coals are dead. You knew they would be. But trying is better than giving up. You look around the room for scraps. Old cloth, twine, bark, anything that burns. You take a bit of straw from a mat in the corner. It crackles as you twist it, but it's too thin to hold flame. You strike a flint. Once. Again. The spark jumps, misses, vanishes. You try again and again, until finally something catches. The straw smolders. You press the kindling close, hold your breath, and pray it spreads. This is how every winter morning begins. Not with warmth, but with effort. Starting a fire isn't just routine, it's survival. There's no backup plan, no second chance, no matches in a drawer, no lighter on the table, only your breath, your hands, and time. The fire stutters, then flares. You feel the heat, thin, weak, but real. It doesn't reach your skin yet, but it will. You feed it slowly, a bigger stick, then another. Not too fast. Let it take. Others gather near. No one speaks. But you feel them behind you. Hands out. Breath visible. Eyes tired. For now, the room begins to thaw. Just barely. But barely is enough. You sit back, feeling your fingers again. The fire crackles. The cold waits just outside the door. But for this moment, you've won. Your house isn't much. Just 4 walls, a roof, and a door that barely closes. The cold finds its way in, no matter how tightly you press the wood. The walls are made of rough timber and packed earth. In some spots, you can see straight through the gaps. Old cloth fills the largest holes. Straw blocks the wind in others. But the wind always finds the rest. The roof is thatch, thick in summer, heavy with snow in winter. When it melts, it drips inside. You can't stop it. The floor below is damp in patches, frozen in others. The floor itself is just dirt. Hard-packed, worn down by years of footsteps. Straw covers most of it. Not for comfort, just to soak up what leaks through. The room is one space. Everyone sleeps in the same area. No privacy. Just bodies, blankets, and shared breath. A few shelves hold jars and dried herbs. A pile of firewood leans near the hearth, but it won't last the week. There's a pot hanging on a hook over the fire. Empty now. Maybe tonight it won't be. The air inside smells of smoke, sweat, and old wool. It clings to your clothes, to your skin. You don't notice it anymore. A single window lets in light, just enough. It has no glass, just wooden shutters, shut tight to block the wind. Sometimes snow still blows through the cracks. A bench near the wall holds a few tools. Dull blades, a cracked bowl. Rags too thin to be useful. Nothing new, nothing clean. You know this place. Every corner, every sound. You know where the wind sneaks in. Where the floor stays frozen. Where the smoke collects. It's not warm, it's not safe, but it's yours. You were born in this house. You've lived here every winter. And unless something changes, you'll die here too. For now, it keeps you just warm enough to survive. And most nights, that's enough. You dress in layers. Not because it helps much, but because it's all you can do. Your shirt is wool, rough. It itches, but it holds warmth better than linen. You wear it every day, even when you sleep. Over that, a second layer if you're lucky. Another tunic. A cloak made from something old and patched. Stiff from smoke. Heavy from damp. Still not enough. You wrap rags around your legs. Not everyone does. But you've learned to trap heat any way you can. Sometimes they slip down. Sometimes they freeze in place. Either way, they help. A little. Your belt is tight, holding it all together. Not just your clothes, your shape, your warmth. You don't loosen it even when you eat. It reminds you there's still a barrier between you and the cold. Your shoes are worn. They let in water when you walk through snow. The soles are thin. The seams are patched with twine. You step carefully now. One bad tear and the walk to the woods becomes dangerous. Too long barefoot in the cold and you don't come back. There are no socks, just old cloth wrapped around your feet. You change it when you can, but not often. Your hands stay bare unless you wrap them in more rags. Sometimes you use the sleeve of your tunic instead. Sometimes you just press them to your stomach and wait for the fire to build. Your hood goes up before you leave the house. It's thin, but it blocks the wind for a few minutes. Long enough to get to the woodpile, or the well, or wherever the morning sends you. You move slowly, not because you're tired, though you are, but because fast movement makes you sweat. And sweat in this cold is worse than standing still. You've seen what happens when someone gets too warm in the morning, then walks into the wind. The sweat freezes, the skin burns, and the cold sinks deeper than before. So, you move with care, wrapped in layers of wool, cloth, and habit. Not warm, but not exposed. And in winter, that's the best you can ask for. You still need water, even when it's frozen. Even when the air stings your face and the ground crunches beneath your feet. The bucket from last night sits near the fire. The surface is solid. You knock on it with your knuckles. It echoes back. You crack it with a stick and watch a dull grey layer split apart. It's not enough. You need more. Outside, the snow is crusted with ice. You take the bucket, still cold in your hand, and push open the door. The hinges groan. The light is sharp, white, and unforgiving. The well isn't far. But in this weather, every step takes effort. Your boots leave tracks in the snow. Your breath floats out ahead of you. You keep your head down, eyes squinting into the cold. At the well, the rope is stiff. The handle creaks when you turn it. You pull slowly. The bucket drags upward. You feel the weight. When it rises over the edge, the water inside is already starting to freeze. A ring of ice clings to the rim. You pour it carefully into your own bucket, trying not to spill. Some of it splashes on your hand. You don't react. You can't. If you stop, the chill sinks deeper. If you hesitate, the work takes longer. And longer means colder. You carry the bucket back with 2 hands. Arms locked, boots steady. If it spills, there's no going back. Inside, the air feels warmer. Not by much, but enough. You set the bucket near the fire. Small steam curls from the surface. It'll melt a little. You'll drink what you can. You need the water for more than thirst. Washing when you have to. Cooking if there's anything to cook. Soaking rags. Soothing skin cracked from wind. In summer, water is simple. In winter, it's survival. And like everything else this season, to think about in winter. Not because you're less hungry. You're always hungry. But because there's less to think about. No fresh bread. No green vegetables. No meat unless something died. You eat what you stored. And you didn't store much. In the corner near the wall, there's a sack of turnips. Shriveled. Software, but still edible. Next to it, dried beans and a few onions. One is already rotting. You cut the bad part off. On a shelf, wrapped in cloth, is a piece of salted meat, grey at the edges. Hard as stone. You chip off what you can. Boil it long enough, and it softens just enough to chew. You start a small fire again, carefully. 1 pot. No spices, just roots and water and thyme. You stir the pot with a wooden spoon that's darker than it used to be. Scorched. Used too many times, but still strong. The smell is faint. Nothing rich. Nothing sweet. Just warm. And in winter, that's all that matters. You eat from the pot with others. No one says much. There's not enough for talk. Only slow bites and quiet chewing. Children ask for more. There isn't more. You scrape the bottom with the edge of the spoon. 1 more bite. 1 more taste. Sometimes, if you're lucky, someone finds an egg or a piece of bread dried hard enough to break teeth. You soak it in broth to make it soft. You pretend it's something better. No one overeats. No one feels full. Full is for harvest season. Full is for the wealthy. Now you eat enough to stand up, to go outside, to finish the day. You put the pot back on the hook. Add more water, it'll stretch the next meal. Thin but warm. That's how winter feeds you. Slow, sparse, just enough to keep you going. The animals live inside with you, not by choice, by necessity. In summer, they sleep outside. In winter, they sleep wherever there's warmth. That means your home, your floor, sometimes even your bed. A goat shifts near the door, curled into straw. It chews slowly, watching you. You don't speak to it, but its body gives off heat. That's enough. Chickens perch on beams overhead. They don't cluck much this time of year. They save their energy. Sometimes they lay, sometimes they don't. You stopped counting. A dog sleeps by the fire. Old rough-haired ribs showing. It shivers in its sleep. You toss it a bone when there is one. It stays close. Not out of love, out of habit, out of shared survival. There are mice in the walls. You hear them scratching at night. Sometimes they steal food. Sometimes they freeze. You don't chase them anymore. They're cold too. A cat appears in the corner, slipping between shadows. It catches what the dog ignores. You never feed it. It feeds itself. But you're glad it's there. You step around droppings on the floor. You sweep when you can. But the cold slows everything down. The mess is part of the season. The air smells of animals, smoke, and sweat. It clings to your clothes, to your hair, to the walls. In the middle of the night, you can hear them breathing. Not loud, but steady. You hear the goat snort, the dog shift, a chicken fluttering in its sleep. You're not alone. Not really. The animals stay with you through the worst of it, because their warmth is your warmth. And if one of you dies, the other just might freeze. You can't avoid it forever. Eventually, you have to relieve yourself. Even in the cold. Even when the wind cuts straight through your clothes. There's no chamber pot. No toilet. Just the outdoors. Or the latrine down the path, half buried in snow. You wrap up tight. Cloak pulled close. Rags around your hands. You move fast, but not too fast. Falling is worse than freezing. The outhouse is made of rough boards. The door sticks. Inside, it's worse than outside. Colder. Darker. The smell still lingers, even in the dead of winter. The seat is hard. You don't sit if you can avoid it. The wood bites into your legs. The cold climbs into your skin. You finish quickly. There's no wiping unless you saved old cloth. Sometimes you use snow. Sometimes nothing. You stand and pull your clothes back up, stiff and frozen. You breathe into your hands. Shake the feeling back into your fingers. Then back inside. Back into the stale warmth. Back into the air that smells like animals and smoke. But not waste. Not here. Cleanliness is relative. You wipe your boots. You don't wash your hands. There's no soap, no clean water to waste. You sit near the fire again. Say nothing. Everyone knows where you went. They'll have to go too. The worst part is knowing you'll do it again tomorrow and the next day. Until the thaw. If the thaw comes. Winter doesn't care about comfort. It doesn't care about dignity. You go because you have to. Not because you're ready. No one ever is. There's no such thing as staying in all day, not even in this cold. The fire won't keep itself going. The animals need feeding. Water doesn't fetch itself. You step outside again. The light is dull. Grey clouds press low across the sky. The air is heavy, still and sharp in your lungs. You start with the wood pile. It's low, lower than it should be. You brush off the snow, knock the pieces loose, and carry what you can inside. Your arms burn from the cold before they ache from the weight. Back in the house, the fire flares with the new wood. Not much, but enough. Then you head to the animals. They're hungry, always. You scatter feed, crack ice from their troughs, check their shelter. One of the goats limps. You make a note of it in your head. There's no medicine to help, just time and luck. You check the fence line. Snow piled up along the edges. A hole where the wind snapped a post. You patch it with branches and twine. It won't hold forever, but maybe it'll hold tonight. Then back to the well. Another bucket, more effort, more ice. By the time you return, your nose is numb. Your hands don't work right. You press them near the fire. Wait for the sting. It always comes. Someone inside is mending clothes. Another stirs the pot, adding water. Children huddle near the dog. You nod but don't speak. There's more to do, but not all at once. You pace yourself. Move slowly. Conserve what little energy you have. Because out here, even basic tasks drain you. Even the smallest chore takes more than it should. You don't stop because you're strong. You stop because you're cold. Then you do it again. That's winter. Every single day. The wind never really stops. It slows, maybe, but it always comes back. It slips through every crack in the wood. It crawls under the door. It whistles through the shutters. Inside the house, you feel it along the floor. It wraps around your ankles, climbs your sleeves, touches the back of your neck when you're not looking. You block it as best you can. Cloth in the gaps, straw in the corners, extra boards nailed where they don't quite fit. But it gets in anyway. It steals your heat, takes what little warmth the fire gives you, pulls it up, out, and away. The flames dance when it pushes through. They flicker sideways, then settle, then flicker again. You huddle closer. Pull your knees to your chest, press your hands together and breathe on your fingers, over and over. The warmth doesn't last, but the motion helps. The wind doesn't knock on the walls. It presses, slow, constant, like it's trying to find a way in. And it always does. At night, you hear it moaning. Low, long, as if the world itself is tired. The sound keeps you awake. Not because it's loud, because it reminds you of everything you're trying to forget. That there's no barrier between you and outside. Just wood, just straw, just air. When it storms, the wind shakes the beams. Snow gets in. So does fear. You pull the blanket tighter. Lie still. Try not to think about it. There's no stopping it. No escaping it. You endure it. Because you have to. You can't change the wind. You just try to outlast it. The fire is life. When it goes out, the house dies with it. You try not to let it happen. You feed it in small pieces throughout the day. You check the coals before you sleep. You cover them with ash to make them last. But sometimes it still goes dark. Sometimes you wake up to nothing but cold stone and silence. No light, no glow, no warmth. You reach toward the hearth and feel only ash. Dry, lifeless. It's harder to start a fire from nothing. Takes longer, takes more. You fumble with flint in the dark. You breathe into kindling that barely wants to catch. You try again and again, fingers stiff, teeth clenched, hands shaking. Each failed spark feels heavier than the last. When the fire doesn't come back quickly, panic sets in. You don't speak it, but it's there. Because no fire means no water boiled. No warmth for the animals, no food, no dry clothes, no safety. The cold inside begins to feel like the cold outside. Your home turns into just another box of frozen air. You hold your hands near the hearth, even when there's nothing to feel. You rock forward and back. You whisper under your breath. Not words, just rhythm. Finally, the spark catches. A glow. A flicker. You breathe too hard and it dies. You start again, slower this time. And when the flame rises again, just a little, you don't move. You guard it like it's alive, because it is. And now, so are you. The room stays cold, but not empty. The flame dances. The darkness pulls back, and everything begins again. That's the weight of one small fire. Every winter, every day, you fight to keep it alive, because without it, you won't be either. You try not to get sick in winter, but no one really avoids it. The cold seeps in through every breath. The damp settles in your chest. You cough once, then again. It doesn't go away. Someone else is already worse. Lying near the wall, wrapped in every cloth the house has. Still shivering, still wheezing. There's no medicine, only herbs. Some dried leaves boiled in water. It smells bitter, tastes worse, but you drink it anyway. You don't go outside unless you have to, but you always have to. Wood, water, animals. The work doesn't stop. Even when your body begs for rest, you breathe slow. Try not to let the coals settle deeper. You keep your scarf wrapped tight around your mouth. It helps. A little. When someone has a fever, you lay damp cloths on their head. You whisper to them, even when they're asleep, even when you're not sure they can hear. The house stays quiet. No one laughs, no one sings. Just coughs and creaking boards. If it gets worse, you make space. Clear a corner, keep them warm. Wait. Sometimes they get better, sometimes they don't. The cold doesn't rush. It waits. It creeps. It finds the cracks in your body, the way it finds the cracks in the walls. You sleep curled up. You breathe shallow. You listen to every cough in the dark, counting the space between them, hoping they stop, hoping they don't. Winter sickness doesn't shout. It whispers, quiet and slow, just like everything else this season. By late afternoon, the light has already begun to fade. Shadows stretch across the floor before you've finished your last task. You move faster, knowing what's coming. Not because night is loud or dangerous, but because it's long and it's cold. And there's nothing to do but wait for morning. You add wood to the fire. Not too much. It has to last, but enough to get you through the first hours of dark. Everyone gathers near the hearth. No one speaks at first. You just sit, listening to the crackle, watching the glow. The house grows quiet. Even the animals settle down. The goats tuck their legs beneath them. The chickens shift and close their eyes. You lay out the bedding. Blankets, old cloaks, straw. No mattresses, no pillows. Just layers of anything soft, flat, or warm. You find your place. Always the same spot. Pressed against the wall, back to the wind. Feet pulled in tight. There's no such thing as comfort. Only closeness. Only warmth borrowed from others. The room grows still. The only sound is breathing. And wind. Always wind. Sometimes you hear it whistle through the shutters. Sometimes it howls. Most nights, it just hums like a low voice outside the door. You shift under the blanket. Try to find the spot that holds heat. Try to keep your nose covered. Try not to move. Because when you move, the warmth escapes. And it takes too long to find again. You stare at the ceiling. Or close your eyes. And wait. Sleep comes slow. Not because you're restless, but because you're cold. And there's no way to rush that kind of sleep. It comes only when your body gives in, and you hope the fire holds. The fire burns low, but steady. You sit beside it, legs pulled close, hands cupped around your knees. There's nothing left to do. No more chores. No more steps to take. Just hours ahead with no light and no warmth except what you can keep. This is the part of the day that drags the longest. When the body is still, but the mind is awake. Too cold to sleep yet. Too tired to move. Someone hums a tune. Low, steady, barely more than breath. You recognize it. Not because it has words, but because you've heard it every winter since you were small. It doesn't mean anything. Not really. Just rhythm. Just time passing. The sound blends with the fire. Crackle, hum, wind. It's the music of winter evenings. You shift your weight. The floor beneath you is cold through the straw. You press your hands to the earth anyway. It reminds you what's real. That you're still here. Still breathing. A child mumbles something in their sleep. A word maybe. Or just a sound. No one reacts. No one needs to. Someone reaches for the bundle of cloth near the wall. Pulls out a wooden object. Smooth, round, familiar. It's a carved toy passed from hand to hand. Not for play, just to hold. Something to do, something to feel. You remember when it was new, or newer at least. It's been sanded by fingers, faded by smoke, but it still fits in your palm. A story begins, softly, slowly. No rise, no fall. Just sentences stacked on sentences like stones. You don't listen for meaning, you let the words drift past. It's a tale about someone long ago, a traveler or a fool or a beast that spoke. You've heard it before, but you don't mind. The story isn't for surprise, it's for rhythm, for breathing. The speaker pauses between lines, like they're remembering it as they go. Sometimes they stop mid-thought, only to start again. No one fills the silence. The fire snaps. A log shifts. A little heat reaches your toes. You close your eyes. Not to sleep. Not yet. Just to imagine. You picture the story's road, its river, its voices. Your body stays in the cold room, wrapped in thin blankets, but your mind drifts into the places the words suggest, away from the wind, away from the ache, away from now. That's what the stories are for. Not truth, not lesson, just distance, something to carry you through the night, until the fire burns down again, until the air settles into silence, until someone else takes a turn or the story simply stops. The hum returns. The carved toy passes to someone else. You shift closer to the fire. Your breath is still visible, but it no longer shakes. And for a little while, in the middle of this long frozen night, you feel something close to comfort. No one speaks of miracles during winter, but everyone hopes for one. You don't call it prayer, necessarily. You don't say the words out loud, but you whisper things in your head, especially at night. Small things, like let the fire catch, let the animals live, let my hands stay warm enough to move. Sometimes those words turn into something else. Not quite faith, not quite fear, but something in between. The church is a long walk from the village, too far in the snow, unless there's a reason. A funeral, a gathering, or when someone gets desperate. Still, its presence is always felt. Even from here. Even inside your small wind-worn house. A wooden cross hangs above the hearth. Rough, crooked, dark with years of smoke. No one made it for beauty. They made it because they were afraid. Of the cold. Of the hunger. Of what comes next if the season doesn't break. You've heard the words from the priest before. That suffering is part of the journey. That winter teaches humility. That those who endure it will be rewarded. But no one in your house speaks like that. They just endure it. Because they have to. Not because they think it means something. Still, habits stick. You bow your head before eating. Even if it's just broth and bone. You cross yourself when the wind howls too loud. Even if no one else sees. There are other things too. Older things. Superstitions no one admits to. A sprig of dried herbs above the door. A stone tucked into the floorboard near the corner of the room. A string tied 3 times around a beam. You don't ask why. You just leave them. Because winter doesn't care what you believe. But belief still fills the space where warmth used to be. You've heard stories of saints who walked through snow barefoot and never froze. Of holy men who could bless a fire and make it last through the darkest nights. Of spirits that visit in the wind, testing the faithful. You don't know if any of it is true, but you still mutter under your breath when the cold feels too sharp. You still press your fingers together when someone coughs too long. You still watch the fire like it's listening, because faith isn't just something you speak, it's something you do, with your hands, with your habits. with the way you face the night and don't run. And in the silence of winter, when there's nothing left but waiting, belief in anything is better than nothing. You don't talk about death until you have to. But in winter, it's always nearby. It begins quietly. Someone doesn't get out of bed. They say they're just cold, just tired. They'll feel better soon. You bring them water. Add more wood to the fire. Tuck blankets tighter around them. You do what you can. But the cold takes more than comfort. It weakens, slows the heart, clogs the lungs. And once it settles deep enough, it doesn't let go. Sometimes it happens fast. A child coughs through the night and goes still by morning. No one moves when it happens. No one cries yet. You just sit in silence, listening to the fire, pretending it didn't happen. Other times, it drags on, a slow shrinking. Someone stops eating. Their eyes stop following movement. They sink into the straw and become part of it. You take turns sitting beside them. You keep your voice calm, even when your hands tremble, even when you already know. There's no doctor, no medicine, just time and watching. And when it ends, you bury them in frozen ground if you can dig. If not, you wait for the thaw. The body is wrapped in cloth. Old shirts, worn cloaks, anything clean enough to cover skin. You carry them in silence. Sometimes 2 people, sometimes 4. You walk slowly, not just from the weight, but because your legs don't want to move. The earth is hard. You use picks, shovels, whatever you have. It takes hours, sometimes days. There are no grand ceremonies, just a few words. A cross made of sticks. A small marker, if one can be carved. Then you return home, and someone sleeps in the space that was left. There's no time to mourn the way stories say you should. The fire still needs tending. The animals still need feeding. The others still need food. You go on, because winter does, and you don't speak their name right away. Not because you forget, but because it's too soon. In a house where everyone huddles close, an absence feels loud. But no one says it. No one feels it. You just move around it. You pull the blanket tighter at night, press your hands closer to the coals, and hope the fire holds a little longer, because the cold has already taken enough, and you're still here. There comes a point when even the cold starts to feel normal. Not because it's easier, but because it's always there. You stop waiting for warmth. You stop expecting comfort. Instead, you begin to look for signs. Small ones. A day with no wind. A morning where your breath feels a little less sharp. A patch of snow starting to sink. These are your signals. That winter might not last forever. That maybe, just maybe, the season is beginning to shift. You don't say it out loud. Not yet. No one wants to be the first to hope. Still, your eyes drift toward the horizon more often. You check the sky for a different kind of grey. A warmer one. The kind that feels heavy with rain instead of snow. Dreams of spring come slowly. They're not loud or colourful. They come in thoughts of mud, of damp earth under your boots, of green poking through the brown. You think about the fields, how hard they'll be to turn, how heavy the soil will be. But you think about it anyway, because it means moving again, breathing again, doing something other than just surviving. You imagine the animals outside again, loose, louder, alive. You picture your fingers in the dirt, numb at first, then tingling with warmth, a pain you're willing to earn. Inside the house, the air changes, just slightly. The fire lasts longer. You burn fewer scraps to feel the same heat. The smoke rises a little cleaner. The damp on the walls dries quicker. You talk about planting, but only in passing. Someone mentions barley. Another says root vegetables. No one commits. The snow could return. It has before. Still, the talk is there. A flicker of planning in the cold. And planning is a kind of belief. The children start to move more. Chickens cluck louder. The dog barks at something in the distance. A sound that might be water moving. You sit by the door in the afternoon, face turned toward the sun that still hides behind clouds. But you feel it. Not heat, just light. Enough to chase the edge of the dark. Spring doesn't come fast. It doesn't arrive in full. It leaks in. One drop at a time. One warmer morning. One quiet evening with less shivering. And for the first time in weeks, maybe months, you allow yourself to think you might make it. Not just through the day, not just through the night, but through the whole season. And the thought stays with you, like the first green sprout in a frozen field. Small, fragile, but this time, the cold doesn't reach you as fast. It's still there, but different. Less sharp, more distant. You open your eyes slowly. The air doesn't sting. The blanket feels heavier. Not because it is, but because the wind didn't come through the walls last night. You sit up and breathe. Your breath still fogs the air, but it fades quicker. You can smell earth, wet, musty, alive. The fire is still burning from the night before. That almost never happens. You didn't wake to tend it. No one did. And yet it lasted. You stretch your legs. They don't ache the way they did. You press your feet to the floor. It's cold, but not frozen. Your boots aren't stiff. Your scarf is dry. Outside, you hear dripping. Real dripping. Snow melting off the roof. Sliding down in slow, steady rhythms. You step outside. Not bundled up, just enough layers to be safe. The sky is pale blue, clouds moving fast. You squint toward the trees. The snow is patchy now. The top layer is soft. You press your boot down and water rises through the slush. It smells like thaw. It smells like wood and dirt, and something distant but promising. You turn back toward the house, smoke rising in a clean line. A goat nudges the door with its head. Chickens scratch at the edge of the path. Inside, someone is stirring a pot. There's movement. Not slow, not stiff, but steady, alive. You add wood to the fire, just because you can. Not because you're desperate, not because it's dying, just because it feels good to do. You sit near the hearth and stretch your fingers. They're not numb, not today. Someone says the snow might be gone by next week. Someone else laughs, not loud, but real. You don't answer. You just look at your hands. They're cracked, red, worn, but they made it. You made it. Spring isn't here yet, but it's close. Close enough to believe in, close enough to feel. And after everything, every frozen morning, every silent night, every breath held against the wind, you're still here, and that is everything.